Welcome back to the Tool Crib. Today we're going to be looking at a SOG PowerPint. Now the PowerPint is a pocket-sized multi-tool. It's going to be one of your smaller frame multi-tools. And I've seen other people review this and they tend not to like it very much, where I have a differing opinion. I think it's a pretty good multi-tool for a few different reasons, and I'm going to try to highlight those for you today. Well, let me jump into the specs real quick of this, and then we're going to go through the 18 different functions of this multi-tool. And while they say it has 18, that's stretching it a bit, and I'll show you what I mean here in just a moment. The weight on the PowerPint comes in at a very light 4.16 ounces, or about 120 grams. Very, very pocketable weight size. 3 1/4 inches long, or 83 millimeters. 1 inch in overall width at its widest point, or about 25 millimeters. 5/8 of an inch thick, excluding the pocket clip, which is going to be about 16 millimeters. Well, let's jump into the tool set. I want to show you some of the things that I really like about this multi-tool. I've brought the Juice S2 in to set next to the SOG so that we can look at them side by side. Now, these tools are very, very comparable in overall footprint, size, and weight. So they're going to be the same length, they're going to be the same width, and virtually the same thickness. So this is I think the Juice S2 is a good model to compare this SOG to. Now, a couple of things I want to get out of the way with the SOG PowerPint that they list as features that I think they are really trying to stretch it a little bit. They list it as 18 features. I really counted it as 15. So up here, they have on the bar across here, they have a couple of protractor readings. So this is supposed to be your protractor. So if you really had to line it up, that's 30 degrees. There is 60 degrees. And then I don't know why they don't have a 90 degree on there, but they really should. But then you have 180 degrees if you open it up all the way here. So while I'm sure that works, it is quite tedious to try to use and not something that I think I would have considered a function. Then they also include the ruler, both SAE and metric on here. Now, because of the design of the multi-tool itself, it's not the greatest ruler, and I don't think I would have even added it to this particular styling of multi-tool, but it is included on there. I just think they're really stretching it with that. Now, two things on the outside. First of all, this small multi-tool has a pocket clip, feature that I think is absolutely fantastic with this multi-tool. Something the Juice S2 is not going to have. Then it also has integrated place for a lanyard ring if you want to put a lanyard ring on it. But the pocket clip really stands out to me. I really like that pocket clip. Now, the next thing we're going to look at is the knife blade. And let's bring the Juice knife blade in here as well. And you can see that these two blades are exactly the same length. So 1 and 15/16 of an inch long, or about 49 millimeters. And the blade on this multi-tool comes out of the factory really, really sharp too. They do a pretty good job on this particular multi-tool. Well, so not bad at all. Little short, but it does a very good job. They don't really list what the steel is on here, but it's a little short for a multi-tool blade. But when you consider it's on such a small frame multi-tool, and they really made it as long as they possibly could, it's a nice little functioning knife blade, and I really like it. Now, one thing about the PowerPint is that when you're trying to get to some of those interior tools, you can't really get to you can on the next tool over, but when you're trying to get to the awl, you really have to dig in there. Not the easiest to get out. You kind of have to fan out some other tools to get to each particular tool. Now, it does have a reaming awl on there, and this little guy is very, very sharp, and it has a cut edge here for reaming functionality. Not the greatest awl in the world. I think the angle is a little steep on this one, but overall a nice tool to have, and I'm glad they have it on there. Now you'll notice that I'm having to open it up. That's one of the only downsides to the lock mechanism. And by the way, all of the tools lock out. Another advantage it has over something like the Juice S2. So you have to depress it here to get your tools to release. And so it's not something you can do from the outside. You really have to fan it open just a little bit. Next tool over is our small flathead screwdriver, or jeweler's screwdriver, and that's a nice little tool on there as well. Then on the opposite side here, a tool I really like, and that's a little cutting hook. That is not a tool that you find on a lot of multi-tools, and especially not on a tool of this size. That is a nice little tool to have on here as well. Now the last tool on this side is going to be a file, and I will say that this file is not super aggressive, but it does function, and it's a decent length for this size multi-tool. Has crosscut file, has edge file, and then has single cut file. Now it's not the greatest file in the world, but another advantage that this has over the Juice S2. Then if we get flipped around to the other side, we have a fully serrated blade. It's going to be the same 1 15/16 of an inch, and this blade is also very, very sharp. Next tool over is going to be our can opener. Now this is strictly a can opener. You would think that they might add a little screwdriver to the front, but they didn't, and it's going to be more in the Victorinox styling of can opener. I haven't really used this one to know whether or not it functions very well, but I've used other SOG can openers, and they seem to do an okay job. So I'm expecting the same out of this one, but I really don't have any experience using that particular can opener. The next tool over is going to be, see, you kind of have to fan stuff out in order to get to individual tools. One of the only downsides to this tool. Next tool over is going to be a dedicated number 1 Phillips. So unlike the Juice S2, where it has a combination number 1, number 2 Phillips, this one is a dedicated number 1. Now they do have some more driver functionality that we're going to get to momentarily. And then the next tool over, let's get this one opened up, is our can opener, or excuse me, bottle cap lifter. So a little tedious to get to, but it does have that functionality. And then the last tool over is going to be a pair of scissors. Now, a couple things about the scissors. First of all, they have really good spring back on the scissors. They're very stiff, and they're built pretty good too. They're really constructed fairly well. They make great scissors for cutting on like paper. So let's just run that through there real quick. Very sharp. Well, I got to get my fingers just in the right place here, so that you can see that they really have no problem getting through paper. They do well on light cardboard as well. Now I got a little piece of paracord here. We're going to try cutting them with that. Now I will say that they are a little tough to get through there, but they do make a very clean cut on a paracord. One thing about them though, they don't have a very wide ledge here for the handle, and so when I was cutting into that paracord, it really kind of dug into my thumb a little bit. Not the most comfortable, but for once in a while task of getting through something a little thicker like paracord, they definitely will get it done. Now, opening up for the pliers. The pliers on this multi-tool is something that I really like a lot, and let me tell you first and foremost, on larger multi-tools, I'm not a huge fan of the SOG compound leverage system, because in larger multi-tools, when you're trying to get onto larger bolts with the regular pliers, the handles are really out there too far to get a really good grip on them. So that's one of the downsides to the compound leverage. But in this multi-tool, I like the compound leverage a lot. So let's start with the needle nose. The needle nose come down to a very, very nice little point. I like those, and they are really solid too. They don't have, considering how small this multi-tool is, it has a little bit of flex, but that is it really is really well built, and SOG doesn't always make the best multi-tools, but in this one I really like it. Then it has the main pliers. Now the main pliers you're not going to be able to get onto too large of a fastener, but it's decent. What I really like about this SOG, it doesn't have hardwire cutters, but it does have softwire cutters. And so we're going to, here's just a, this is 14 gauge. So we're going to set that in there, and it did just a bang up job cutting through that with no effort whatever. Now we're going to get on to, I got a little piece of 12 gauge here, and this is really kind of big for this multi-tool, but that SOG will zip right through it. And I gotta tell you, there's other smaller frame multi-tools, the Juice will do it, but it won't do it near that easy for sure. And then sometimes the Juice will have a tendency, if it's too large, that they'll want to roll over and it'll trap it in between the pliers and jam the pliers up. Doesn't happen in the SOG. That compound leverage is really, really something in this multi-tool. Then it has a set of wire crimpers. On the back here you can see this ridging here on it. Really allows for a lot of grip. So we're going to try that out. I got a little piece of this 12 gauge here that we were using, and a fastener. Now one thing that I will say is that there's not a lot of surface area there, so you really have to jam it in there to get it to crimp over. But that pattern of teeth on there really allow you to grip onto that, and that made a pretty good connection. That made a better connection than some larger multi-tools that I've seen, and you can kind of see how that patterned out in there with the teeth pattern really grips it very firmly, and that's actually a really solid electrical connection for for a little repair job. So that is another feature that is really, really great on this multi-tool. The compound leverage on this little guy really gives it a big advantage over some of its competition. Now there's one last feature on this multi-tool. This particular multi-tool, one of the most common fasteners we run across is going to be a number 2 Phillips. And the SOG PowerPint does not have an integrated number 2 Phillips in it. But what it does have is you can see there's magnets on either side, or on one side. I thought they were on both, but there's just one side. So they have a position here where you can set a standard 1/4 inch bit in there, and it has a magnetic holder. So I can open it up and you can see that bit won't fall out. Now, it's a little tedious to crimp down on them and then use this plier. It's not the most ergonomic system, but it does work. And so you have the ability to carry an extra bit or two, that if you want to carry a dedicated number 2 Phillips and a little dedicated 1/4 inch flat driver, you can definitely accomplish that with this multi-tool. Now, let me talk about the things that, first of all, I'm going to tell you the things that I really don't like about it, and then I'm going to talk about the things that I really do like about it, and how I kind of grade this multi-tool out. To be honest with you, there's not a lot that I don't like about this multi-tool. I think that the protractor function, that is, as I talked about before, that is really, really stretching it for functionality. I don't even consider that a tool. Same thing with the 2 rulers. But on the whole, for the rest of the tools, I really don't have a problem with them. I actually like how they put this multi-tool together. So one of the things that I do like, the biggest thing that I like, is that on a multi-tool of this frame size, they have a little pocket clip on there. I think that is outstanding that they have a pocket clip on this multi-tool. The next thing that I like is that it's in more of this stonewash finish instead of a high gloss multi-tool. That is something that I actually find myself liking with this multi-tool. The tool set that is within it. Let's just take a look around here and look at how compact they shoved all those tools in there. I mean, there is just no room to spare with the tool set that they provided in this multi-tool. They just did an outstanding job of packing this full of features with using every possible bit of space that they had available to them in this size, in this frame size. The tool sets, the only thing that leaves a little bit to be desired is the aggressiveness of the file and the scissors. I wish that the scissors opened up just a touch more than what they do. If they opened up just a little bit more, it would really make them a lot better. But it's hard to complain. They're really great scissors for cutting on paper and cardboard and for, or string for that matter. And for a multi-tool this size and this size of scissors, you really can't expect a whole lot out of it. But for its size, it has pretty good capability. I really like the compound leverage on this particular multi-tool. I actually really like that wire crimper. Now, this is not a tool that I would necessarily think of when having wire crimping functionality, but the fact that it has it on there, I wish more manufacturers of multi-tools put in a wire crimper like this. That is just an outstanding crimper. I love the way that works. Now, maybe it might not work as well in other multi-tools that don't have SOG's compound leverage, but it just really bit into that electrical connection extremely well, and I really can't say enough about how well that worked. The wire cutting capability on this is very, very good as well for the soft wire cutting. Has decent pliers for the main pliers, but the needle nose are another thing that come down there to a really nice point, and is another thing that I like about this multi-tool. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm not the biggest proponent of SOG multi-tools because of their Chinese manufacturing. Usually they feel a little subpar, especially in some of the larger models. The tooling on them, the extra tools, apart from the pliers, really feel like they're kind of second thoughts. I don't feel that way with this multi-tool. The way they jam-packed everything in there and what they provided us with, I really do like it. I don't know that I quite give it an A grade. You know what? Yeah, I do. I do give it an A grade because of the size of its overall footprint and everything that they packed into this, and it's the total number of functions on this. I really grade this at an A- tool. I think the fact that it has a pocket clip brings it up from a B+ to an A- for me, and I think this is a great option. I really do. And the price point on this thing is really great too. You can pick this up for about $30. So for all the functionality and a lightweight carry, I definitely recommend this tool. I think that SOG really hit on something really great with this one for this little multi-tool. If this is more your styling, if you like the smaller pocketable multi-tools, I really think you should check the SOG PowerPint out. Well, my name is Ben. You've been watching the Texas Tool Crib, my review of the SOG PowerPint. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.